Bienvenidos a la Daily Hustle. Soy Enrique Byrnes y presidente de esa mejor cerveza. No abate por No Filter Network. Miguelito San Dieguito, a.k.a. Bobby Ballhall, a.k.a. Bobby Barrels, as he's known in Savannah. But dead or alive, job or no job, with us or not with us, we properly salute our boy. Yes, 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 yes. Woo! Remember this, folks. When we are juiceful, we are useful. And when we are juiceless, we are fucking useless. A very pleasant good morning to you on the third day of October 2023. We are sponsored by 818 Tequila. That's right. Look at this bottle. One of the most beautiful things you will ever see. This is a good shit. So go ahead and pick yourself up some extra añejo wherever you would be getting that. And on that note, Joe Booney's refill. That's it. So our great partners at 818, you guys got the Addy. All right. So the other title sponsor we cannot forget is KT Tape. That's right. And I actually can see the audience view now. So let me see. No, this way. Hold on. Pull it back. This is really weird, man. Oh, there it is. That's a QR code. Get yourself some skin prep wipes. Of course, you can't forget the Pro Oxygen Tape. This is what actually decreases the inflammation by promoting blood flow to the area. And for the hard chargers that hit the trails, the pavement, all the above, you're going to need some blister prevention. This is the starter kit, as I like to say. But never forget to take care of your package. The Chafe Safe. Anti-chafing wipes, maximum chafing protection, fast application, sweat, and water resistant. We are also, if it sounds like I have a rock in my mouth, it's because I do. Not sponsored by Reed's Butterscotch. These are so good. So I went into the soda pop shop yesterday. I got a horchata soda, and I do it. When we go by there every day when I take Biscuit to DT, which is dynamic training, and I figure if there's a time where you're going to get a soda or candy or whatever, that is it. After he has spent an hour and a half getting loose in the weight room and doing the agility stuff, really super cool. People ask me a lot, like what I recommend for kids when it comes to playing multiple sports. You know, even if the kid, say, for example, is one sport specific or two sports specific, I'm like, look, the bottom line with the development of athletes and just in general, whether they're our kids or someone else's kids, is overall athleticism. It's everything. So if you do have a kid that plays a lot of baseball or skis a lot, say, for example, like Biscuit, one of the most important things is to make sure that the overall athletic movements are developed through action. And that is dynamic training. It is everything, for the most part at this point, is body weight, really light sort of activities, the box jumps, all of it. But it is, I think, one of the most critical things for the development of all the kids. Now, on top of that, too, whether it's football or basketball or hockey, like, man, I would take your kid, any of our kids, and recommend that they play as many sports as possible. Now, the argument coming back towards me would be, dude, Byrnesy, how the fuck am I supposed to do this? I have 3 kids going 3 different directions, and they have travel this and travel that. Dude, not everything has to be that intense. It doesn't. The flag football that we're experiencing right now, I think, is one of the greatest things that we've ever done. It was, I say we, I mean, it's, Tara signed Biscuit up for this thing. And he's doing it with a couple of kids that he skis with. I remember some of my like best moments were playing flag football when I was a kid. There was nothing better. And if you think about what that does with the overall athletic mobility and everything else, and it's just, that's good. So even if you do have a kid that just happens to be specializing in gymnastics, I'm just trying to think of the sports that seem to be these all-in sports from a very young age. Tennis was when I was a kid. Gymnastics was when I was a kid. Golf was when I was a kid. They were the specialty sports before specialization even occurred. Now it's bled into the team sports where they even have flag football leagues. Colton was showing me this, that are travel flag football teams. He's like, look, what? And he pulls up a video of the number one, I'm not shitting you on this, 7U flag football team in the country. It was pretty cool. It's pretty impressive to watch. But anyhow, all right. The Daily Hustle quote of the day. People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. Zig Ziglar. Daily Hustle translation of this. Each day we have an opportunity to seek out motivation and then inspire others by passing it on. Just like we fuel our bodies with nutrition, in order to perform at full potential, it's imperative we feed our minds and surround ourselves with ass-kicking people, places, and things that motivate actions which inevitably add real value to our lives. Trivia question of the day. The MLB postseason starts today, and there is only one team that has won the World Series from 3 different home cities. Who are they? My first thought here was actually the A's. Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Oakland. I went and looked it up. The A's, although they've won 9 World Series championships in Philadelphia, 5, in Oakland, 4, in Kansas City, 0. So, the actual team that has pulled this off, the Braves, once as the Boston Braves in 1914. So I would not have guessed this. And I definitely would have never guessed that in 1957, the Milwaukee Braves won a World Series title. And then the Atlanta Braves in 1995 and I believe 2021. I actually wrote this in the email that I sent out to all the Daily Hustlers. By the way, go to ericbyrnes.com if you want to sign up for the Daily Hustle email. I'm going to try to merge the two. It's sort of been one or the other. Back in the day when I first started the Daily Hustle podcast, and I come on here and I do like a 5-minute bit and just talk about the message of the day. And then that was it. It was really easy to do both. Now that we're doing 47-minute shows here on No Filter Network and then across all these other platforms, a lot of the focus has gone into just making sure we try to prepare for this and nail this as well as possible. But there definitely is a correlation, and it is nice to get that email, which sort of organizes a lot of this stuff. So that's ericbyrnes.com. If you're there and just browsing around, you might see a advertisement for the foot reflexology board. That is the thing that I stand on each and every single morning. At least 7 minutes. Many times I go up to as much as 20. And same sort of thing as a KT tape. Look, you're promoting blood flow through the body. It's stimulating our immune system, like so many crazy great benefits. We are waiting for those to arrive in San Diego. I'm going to put Tara on it once again. Hopefully they arrive today. They were supposed to arrive September 23rd. Did not arrive. So we're waiting for a big ass pod to show up at Amanda Panda Cans of Worms house. It has all the books. It has all the footboards and everything. So pick yourself up a Daily Hustle 222 Unfiltered Life Guidance from a human crash test dummy, just fun stories. A lot of them about my life, a lot about other people's lives, but they're all, let's just say, surrounded by inspiration, nuggets of wisdom, all sorts of things to help us in our daily lives. All right, the life optimization. By the way, don't sleep on the A's pulling that off when they get to Las Vegas. I'm cautious in saying this, but I am going to call a 2028 World Series champion Las Vegas Athletics. And no, I'm not fucking around. I am very serious. Look, the A's have a lot of really smart people. They're a fantastic organization. And if they get their shit together and they end up, moving to Vegas and taking care of all of the little things they need to, and in the meantime, they're going to suck ass and accumulate these draft picks. It's the same way we've seen these teams, say, for example, the Baltimore Orioles go from being one of the last place teams to being the second best team in baseball this year. As a matter of fact, there was 3 teams that lost 100 games. 3 teams. Think about that. Lost 100 games just 2 years ago. And now here they are, the Orioles, D-backs, Rangers, and the Pirates were the other one. The Pirates actually had a pretty good year. This is just 2 years ago. So this isn't rocket science when it comes to figuring out a formula to have success at the big league level. The Astros showed everybody. And I don't want to use the word tank, but you're not going to overly invest in a team that is not going to make the playoffs, but you will invest in draft picks. You will invest in international free agent signs that then get you to this position. So you had these teams. I mean, it's insane to think. The Orioles and the Diamondbacks lost 110 fucking games just 2 years ago. In 2014, I believe that was the year, is when Sports Illustrated declared the 2017 World Series champion Houston Astros, and everybody laughed. Everybody thought it was going to be a joke. So take a look at this article here. We'll kick off the show. A lot of baseball today. Go over the Monday Night Football debacle a little bit from last night, but we have the playoffs are starting at 12 noon Pacific time. It says here the first 3 teams are all headed to the postseason this year. This is the first time that multiple 100-loss teams from the same season have made the playoffs either 1 or 2 years after hitting that century mark, let alone 3. And 2021 has now produced. If you're wondering if this is good for baseball, it is. Because to see the quick turnaround reminds me of the NFL a little bit. There's parity where your team may suck one season and then all of a sudden, boom, you come back. Usually that is not the case in baseball. And then to see it happening with these smaller market teams, yeah, that matters. I mean, look, the Rangers, it seemed to have put a little bit more of an investment into this thing. And they went out and got Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, amongst others. But the D-backs have completely done it from within. A few signs here and there, but for the most part, Corbin Carroll has been the guy leading the charge. And then the Orioles, they've done it with like fucking 6 guys that they have brought up internally that are now these emerging superstars, including Rookie of the Year, Gunnar Henderson. Adley Rutschman is another one. But it says prior to 2023, 10 teams total had reached the postseason after losing 100 games in the year prior or the one before that. Isn't that crazy? Only 10 in the history of baseball. Of those, 2 won the World Series. The 1969 Mets, 101 losses in 1967. The 1914 Boston Braves, this is the second time we've mentioned them on the Daily Hustle this morning, 101 losses in 1912. Of the 8 to make the postseason in the divisional era, since the playoffs expanded in 1969, one other reached the World Series beyond the aforementioned Mets, and that was the 2008 Braves. Narrowing the list further, the D-backs became the third team in MLB history to go from a 110-loss season to a playoff berth in a 3-season span, joining this year's Orioles. And here we go again, the 2013 to 2015 Houston Astros. And then they ended up winning the World Series in 2017. Save the trash can jokes, by the way. Of the 3 teams that we're discussing this year, the Orioles have added distinction of having eclipsed the 100 win mark. Okay. Yeah. They're the first team in MLB history to go from a 110 loss season to a 100 win in a 3-season span. The only other team to even go from 100 plus losses to 100 wins in such a short period of time was the 67 to 69 New York Mets. It says, no matter how you slice and dice it, there's always hope. Baseball is the best. I'm going to agree with that. It does create hope. That's just a really cool thing. So I want to get into one other thing here. Chris Young, all the respect in the world for this guy, was an elite pitcher back in his days, like 6'10", 6'11". Went to Princeton. He played basketball. Pitcher, longtime pitcher for the Rangers, the Padres. Just a tough competitor. Really hard for me to hit. I had an issue of getting on top of the fastball that he was throwing at 83 miles per hour that looked like it was coming in at 110. So he is now the general manager of the Texas Rangers. And he's done a fucking fantastic job putting this squad together. He just seems to have the right mentality. He hired Bruce Bochy. So here's this super analytical guy. And this is what you have to remember. This is the yin and yang of life. This is where Farhan needs to go, if you ask me. Chris Young is a ball player himself, but he's also a fucking brainiac, right? Crazy, crazy smart, crazy analytical. So he does know, though, that in order to get the most out of his team that he's pieced together, there needs to be a blend between the old school gut instinct sort of manager and the analytics. So he goes out and he hires Bruce Bochy. He was the missing link to this team. And now here we are. They're on the brink of potentially winning a World Series. Now, I don't know if they could pull it off. They've limped into the postseason, but they were fighting down the stretch. They were chasing this AL West title. They definitely were in pole position to do so. They had to go into Seattle, who was still alive and fighting for a postseason berth themselves. So they lost the first 2 games of that series. And then they won the third, which clinched their postseason berth. Well, in the meantime, the Astros were in Arizona, sweeping the Diamondbacks. The Rangers, all they had to do to win the AL West was split that series in Seattle. It doesn't happen. They lose 3 of 4, but it was enough. They got into the postseason. So there was a reporter for Houston that questioned whether or not the Rangers partied too hard and were happy with just the postseason berth as opposed to winning the American League West. Well, Chris Young then responded, and it makes a lot of sense. He says, I find it ridiculous that's even a subject, honestly. This is the most professional, responsible group of players that I've ever been around. Well, that's because Chris Young used to hang out with degenerates like our generation. We had a very subdued champagne popping, but beyond that, there was no partying. There was no outlandish. There was nothing outlandish, he said. The Rangers 90-72 secured their postseason appearance, their first postseason appearance since 2016 with a 6-1 victory over the Mariners, and needed another win on Sunday, or he lost by the Astros to win the division. But 24 hours later, Texas's 1-0 loss to Seattle, coupled with an 8-1 victory over the Diamondbacks for Houston, handed the division crown to the Astros, who did not miss a chance to jab at the Rangers with multiple posts on their official social media account. One Astros post to social media included the caption, quote, "We celebrate titles in Houston," with a video of third baseman Alex Bregman telling his teammates, "A lot of people were wondering what it was going to be like if the Stros didn't win the division. I guess we'll never know." Oh, I love Bregman. The Astros were more muted in their post-game celebration on Saturday when they held a clubhouse champagne toast after clinching a postseason spot, but were still chasing the Rangers for the division title. Young specifically took exception to a social media post from Brian McTaggart, who covers the Astros for MLB.com, and sparked a social media firestorm Sunday when he posted on Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter. The Rangers partied last night while the Astros had a champagne toast and quickly turned their attention to Sunday and one more win. Houston's been there, done that mentality, paid off, it seems. Quote, "It's pretty poor journalism to even suggest that, honestly," Young told 105.3 The Fan. "I'm very disappointed in the lack of professionalism of the Houston journalists for putting that out there. It's classless, and it's not appropriate, and it's completely fabricated. It's wrong." Okay. First thing I'll say is this. Chris, don't even fucking respond. Why are we wasting our time? The Astros reporter, you know these guys, especially the beat guys, they're around the team. And so if they could take a shot here or a shot there, they're going to do it. Now, remember this. Houston is so used to getting battered, whether it's from the trash can incident or anything else. They seem to be a target of everybody around Major League Baseball. So, yeah, they take a couple shots. The Bregman thing, it's fucking funny. There's no other way to put that. He's right. The Astros have been dominant in the AL West. I don't know the last team to win the West, nor does it really matter because of how great the Astros have been. Now, all of that said, who gives a shit? And on top of that, I think if there was any form of professional journalism that actually did happen, it would be properly reporting that if the Rangers did party and go out and get fucked up and all of a sudden it's 2:30, 3 in the morning and they're in a basement club in Seattle somewhere, like it used to happen back in the day. Yeah. Hey, realize this. When you go out in a rage like that, the next morning when you get up, you're running off adrenaline. So it wasn't ever that day or that game where you would struggle. It was actually the one after. And that was an off day. So if it makes sense to you guys at all, even if the Rangers went out and partied and partied and partied and partied, it wouldn't have mattered. That truly is the case. Ask anybody who's ever gone out and had too many adult beverages the night before a game. It's hardly ever that game that gets you. It's always the game after. All right, we have, let's see here. The top 12 teams also in Major League Baseball, we're going to rank them as the playoff teams. Now, there's a couple different ways we can do this. MLB.com had an article that ranked the teams that were going into the postseason. And then I actually grabbed another article because I'm like, look, number one, I'd rather do my own fucking ranking. But we have them ranked here by the odds to win the World Series. So on that note, let's get it. The 2023 World Series odds. The Braves enter the MLB playoffs as the favorite. Let's work backwards, though, and see if any of these bets may be worth making. You have the Miami Marlins at plus 5,000. Bet $10 to win $510. Do yourself a favor. Go to the homeless guy in the corner and give him $10 instead. That's how much I think the Marlins are going to win the World Series. The second one here, the Arizona Diamondbacks, plus 4,000. So bet $10 to win $410. Look, do yourself a favor. Go bet $100 to win $4,100 because there is a chance, there is a legitimate chance that the Arizona Diamondbacks could pull this shit off. The Milwaukee Brewers, another one here, they're plus 2,000. Bet $10 to win $210. So pretty soon you're going to see the people of Salvation Army standing out in front of the supermarkets. It's about that time of year as you get in the holiday season. Yeah, drop your $10 in there because the Brewers ain't winning the World Series. Toronto Blue Jays, bet $10 to win $210. It's the same bet. Yeah. Fuck it, let's do it. Let's go ahead and go for the $100 bet on that one to win $2,100 because I think they have a chance. Minnesota Twins at plus 1,800. Bet $10 to win $190. Yeah. Nah. You'd be better off ripping a $10 bill in half. The Texas Rangers, don't sleep on them. They're plus 1,800 as well. Yeah. This is a team that legitimately could win the World Series. There's a chance that Max Scherzer comes back. I don't know if he's going to or not. Look, I did see, though, could return October 15th. So here we are on the 3rd of October. You're telling me he could be healthy as you get into the championship series and the World Series, a boost there. Look, it's all about getting hot at the right time. The Rangers have the offense and the defense to get it done. The question is, do they have the pitching staff? I don't love the bet, but I think there's a chance. Tampa Bay Rays plus 1,200. So it's basically betting $10 to win 130. I don't know. The Phillies at plus 1,200, I think would be a much better bet. This is a team that was in the World Series last year. It's a matter of going on that same hot stretch as they did. You got Bryce Harper, by the way, fined $5,000 for throwing his helmet in the stands. Somebody make sense of that to me, please. So Bryce Harper gets complete and totally screwed by Angel Hernandez. The worst call of the year, arguably. It really was. A check swing that looked like this. Like it was a flinch. He goes to argue. He gets thrown out of the game before he's even down there to argue, right? And then frustrated on the way back, fires his helmet in the stands, throws it up there. A 10-year-old kid gets it. The story goes viral. It is celebrated around the world as this, what a cool thing, as Bryce signed the helmet and everything else. And then MLB, Bah Humbug, comes down and says, hey, by the way, not only are we going to fine you for your injection and everything else, here's a $5,000 bill on top of that for throwing your shit in the stands. Come on, dude. Seriously? $5,000? Like, you guys should be paying him $500,000 for that fucking PR move. That's ridiculous. If I'm Bryce on principle, I'm not paying that shit. And I understand what MLB is trying to do because they don't want guys throwing helmets into the stands. But if they're smart with this one, you could come out and announce that you're doing that, although it's a shitty PR move on your guys' part. I would have just sent a memo out to all major league teams that will show up on players in their lockers, on their seat out in front, saying that you guys may have seen Bryce Harper threw his helmet in the stands. Oh, yeah, if this happens again, it's $5,000 for anybody who does it. So don't do that. And then you could have kind of kept it silent or said, hey, look, we appreciate Bryce's gesture, signing the helmet for the young fan, but we can't have this. It's too much of a safety risk. Yeah, that's what they cited when they fined him $5,000. Okay, the next one here, the Baltimore Orioles, plus 700. Book it. This is the bet you want. 7-1 odds. This is a very realistic thing that could happen. And I realize that for all of you Gen Zers that don't know the last time the Baltimore Orioles were ever good, I get it and I understand. But this team is fucking legit. There's no other way to put it. They have good bullpen. They have good starting pitching. They play defense. They grind away at bats. They're relentless. They're deep. This is a team that could very easily win the World Series. The team they're going to have to get by, though, is a team that's one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, the Houston Astros. They're plus 480. Wow. You could even stop there and just take the Astros at plus 480, and you could take the Baltimore Orioles at plus 700. Just those two. Because it's my firm belief that one of those two teams is going to represent the American League in the World Series. If they were to face the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are plus 410, or the Atlanta Braves, who are plus 260, which seems like a pretty decent number as well. Look, the Braves, if they get to the World Series, are going to be like minus 200, whether they're facing the Astros or the Orioles. So if you want to get the Braves at plus 260 right now, fucking hop on it. The Los Angeles Dodgers at plus 410. Look, I'd be hard pressed to say that anyone's coming out of the National League other than the Braves or the Dodgers. The same way I would say that about Houston or Baltimore. So if you took those four teams, think about this: Braves, Dodgers, Astros, or Orioles, and you put $100 on each of them, the only way that you would lose money, and it would be $40, that would be it. I take that back. It'd be $140. No, 40. Is if the Braves won. If the Dodgers won, then look, you invest $400, you're getting back $410, but part of that 100. Okay, now I'm trying to do math here. What am I doing? I don't know. The bottom line is this: I would take the Astros and the Orioles at plus 480 and plus 700. And both of them, if they get to the World Series, are going to be about plus 200 or maybe even less, especially if one of the two of them roll. I'd grab both of them. There you go. There are your top plays. If I were to rank them when it comes to 1 to 12, I would have the Marlins down there at the bottom. Then I would have the Brewers. Then I would have the Twins, then the Diamondbacks, then the Blue Jays. No, then the Rays, then the Blue Jays, then Philly. I put the Orioles, Astros, Dodgers, and Braves. I mean, I think they drilled the top four. Regardless, it's going to be a fun playoffs here starting today at noon Pacific time. Okay, last night, the Giants, New York Football Giants, put on an embarrassing display, to say the least. So Peyton Manning and Eli are doing their alternative broadcast. And during the quote-unquote dreadful Seahawks-Giants first half with apparently Eli and Peyton teamed up intentionally or unintentionally. Pretty sure it was unintentionally. With this little Taylor Swift masterpiece. They said after weeks of buzz surrounding Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship, it appears Peyton and Eli are among the latest to be swept up by the craze. A lackluster first half of the Seahawks-Giants game left the Manning brothers looking for something else to discuss on ESPN's Manningcast, with Seattle up 14-13 just before halftime. While the conversation could have gone anywhere, Eli opted to go for a joke about none other than Taylor Swift, which Peyton used as a chance to trash both teams. Quote, "Is Taylor Swift not at this game? I thought she goes to MetLife for all of the New York games." So Taylor Swift obviously was there the night before when the Jets took on Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs. And then Peyton replies, "Well, if she was at the game, she left." But it didn't stop there, because with the Giants losing 24-3, it was then Joe Buck who said it's gridlock getting out of here. And he was talking about the parking lot and everyone fleeing MetLife Stadium. Buck said fans have seen enough. And then you had Troy Aikman's response, which was, "It'll clear out in time for us. We'll just be strolling right down the road." It's the truth. So anyhow, look, the Giants are fucking terrible. That was really hard to watch. And I don't know. I do know that the offensive line is no bueno. But I would say that Daniel Jones at some point needs to get rid of the fucking football. Like he's just got to do it, man. You can't keep holding on to the ball. Like there's got to be, and I don't know if there's coaching, because whether it's 3-step drops or getting the boom, boom, like there's got to be something to counter that. Tom Brady was a fucking master at it. This guy wasn't a fleet of foot at all, but he would avoid sacks because he knew how to get rid of the football. On another note, by the way, and Hank made a No Filter, not Hank Haney, but of course, Henry Markin, our social media director here at No Filter Network, made a video about this yesterday. People can't stop talking about it. The Chiefs were up by, what was it, 3 at the time. And Patrick Mahomes had the ball less than 2 minutes to go. They're at this point, they're in clock management. They're running out the clock. But at the same time, another way to secure a victory is you run into the fucking end zone, right? Game's over. Well, Mahomes is coming around the corner, and he decides to slide at the 2-yard line. Ball game over. Great job. Well, if you back the Kansas City Chiefs, it was not a great job. You pissed off bettors everywhere. Now, they had a chance. My argument against KC backers, by the way, is that, yeah, sure, when you're up 17-0, it seemed like you're fucking cruising with this thing. But once it was 20-20, you're thinking in your mind, like, there's no way we're going to cover this. Well, sure as shit, get in. And it pissed off the entire world. So it says in week 4, betting favorites winning dominated the slate. The favorites took 12 of 15 games. That's 80%, while also covering against the spread at a 64% clip. However, one of the teams with the largest point spread served up arguably the worst bad beat of the week on Sunday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs were 8.5-point road favorites against the Jets. Based on the recent disappointing play by Zach Wilson, the betting public heavily backed the defending Super Bowl champions heading into MetLife Stadium. Faced with a 3rd and 8 from the Jets' 11-yard line, with just 2 minutes remaining in the game, Mahomes evaded the Jets' pass rush and sprinted toward the goal line. However, the Jets were out of timeouts. The 2-time Super Bowl MVP wisely slid down at the Jets' 2-yard line instead of scoring an easy walk-in touchdown. Now, Patrick Mahomes got to understand. Look, when you have people betting on your team and you have people that have made a commitment to you to be their starting fantasy quarterback, you have a responsibility to fucking play your best, man. And I get it. You're a gazillionaire. You don't give a shit. This isn't about you. This is about the gamblers. This is about your backers. This is about the people that believe in you. You can't do them dirty like that, Patrick. That's terrible. So it says, following several kneel downs, Kansas City secured the win, but failed to cover the point spread, resulting in tens of millions of dollars being shifted in favor of sports books around the country. Fuck. Of course, because everyone was on KC. While one elite quarterback provided a bad beat, another, not known for his rushing prowess, delivered one of the biggest wagering wins of the week. A bettor on X placed a $100 player prop wager on Chargers star signal caller Justin Herbert, scoring at least 2 rushing touchdowns against the Raiders. The Los Angeles star quarterback scored the game's first touchdown early in the first quarter on an elusive 12-yard scramble. When Herbert, who did not score any rushing touchdown in 17 games last season, plunged in for a second time just prior to halftime, the investment cash, you ready for this? The $100 wager returned a total of $12,500. Shit. That is brilliant. Because the other element of that is like, if you come up with a half-yard line, a lot of times now they just do that quarterback push. So even if he had 0 last year, the push wasn't as prominent as it is now. If you're not doing the push, I think it's idiotic. Actually, listen to Herm Edwards talking about it yesterday because of a 4th down play. I don't know. Maybe it was in that Chicago game where they're doing it out of the shotgun and like you're already 4 yards back with all this pressure coming at you. You can't do it that way anymore. And especially this push-tush or whatever you want to call it, it's legal. So why would you not be doing it? Some more betting information here. In week 4, bettors witnessed home teams go 7-7 straight up, while also owning a solid 7-6-1 against the spread. Road teams now only own a slight 33-30 straight up, 52.4% edge, while still posting a profitable 36-25-2 against the spread mark. It's a 59% clip. Bettors watch the favorites post a strong 12-3 straight up and 9-5-1 against the spread mark, leaving underdogs with a slight 31-32, 50.8% edge on the season. Overall, games were lower scoring than odds makers expected, with 8-7 going to the under. On the year, the under is now taking a small lead. It's not a small lead. I mean, it's 35-27 the under is. Bad beats. Chicago bettors dealt a horrible beat as the Bears blow a 21-point lead. That is true. Chicago backers felt extremely comfortable when the Bears jumped out 28-7 early in the third quarter. However, Russell Wilson and the Broncos scored 24 unanswered points, handing Chicago their 14th consecutive defeat. Bettors were left stunned after Justin Fields fumbled, resulting in a scoop and score that tied the game. Despite an incredible performance by Fields, the Broncos beat the Bears 31-28, spoiling all of the plus 140 money line action wagered on the Bears. Another one that I heard about yesterday, Zach Ertz, friend of the program, by the way, and this happens to anybody. His late touchdown drop delivered a bad beat to the Arizona bettors, trailing 35-16 with only seconds remaining in the game. The Cardinals were driving for a garbage time score. Arizona's Joshua Dobbs fired a perfect pass to Zach Ertz at the San Francisco 3-yard line. The normally reliable veteran pass-catching talent let the ball slip right through his hands for what would have been an easy touchdown. The Cardinals, who were the biggest underdogs, plus 14.5 in week 4, brutally came up short of an easy backdoor cover. Zach Ertz is a Stanford guy, by the way, and obviously longtime tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles. Sportsbook earn vital decisions over public bettors. 74% of money went on Miami. In that Miami Bills game, they were plus 135, and of course, the Bills beat the snot out of them. 84% of the money on the over for Minnesota, Carolina, and the Vikings earned the low-scoring victory over the Panthers, 21-13, so the under cashed in there big time. Big week for Vegas. 69% of the money was on the Bengals. Joe Burrow and the Bengals got absolutely fucking roasted. So that obviously did not work out as they lost 27-3 to Tennessee. 72% of the money was on the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs escaped a 23-20 win, but failed to cover the spread. Obviously, we talked about that one. Lucky Better goes 12 for 12 on an NFL parlay, winning $100,000 on a $100 waiver. One bettor who goes by the name Pushing Parlays on Instagram went 12 for 12 on an NFL parlay on Sunday. The investor correctly selected the Bills, Eagles, Vikings, Titans, Ravens, Rams, Bears, Chargers, Cowboys, and Jets. Dude, so he had some heavy money line favorites. He had the Chargers minus 290, Cowboys minus 258, Eagles minus 440, Bills minus 142. So he did them all, not all money line. The Vikings he took at minus 4.5. And then the Titans plus 130, the Ravens plus 105. Dude, that's a good ticket. And the Jets plus 8.5. I mean, so much had to go right. So this is my barking alarm, basically telling me it's time to shut the fuck up and we got to go. Survivor Pool recap in week 4. Survivor Pool contestants at Circa. That's one of my favorite spots in Vegas, by the way. Home of Barry's Steakhouse. If you have not been there, go. Our guy Barry from 9 Steakhouse back in the day in the Palms. We love you, dude. We'll see you shortly. He selected, let's see, week 4 Survivor contest at Circa in Las Vegas. Strongly selected San Francisco minus 14.5. That would have been a big one, of course. You should want to take the biggest spread each week if you can. Philadelphia over Washington, the Chargers over Las Vegas, and Kansas City over the Jets. The attraction of using favorite teams is enhanced by the fact that Survivor Pool's teams do not need to cover in week 4 of the NFL season. The 49ers, Eagles, Chargers, and Chiefs made up 80% of those selections in the $9.3 million contest. After all the heavy favorites emerged victorious, only around 3% of the pool were knocked out due to various other games. So there's the betting landscape. Look, Thrill and I are on tonight at 6:05 p.m. Pacific time. We have the games starting at 12 p.m. today and will be running through all the way through our Deuces Wild show, basically. So join us tonight, Deuces Wild. Reserve your ticket in the No Filter Network stream right now. Hit the knock button. Come onto the screen. Fire away in the chat. All of it. That's it. Everyone have a fantastic day. Daily Hustle back at you tomorrow. See